So hello, everyone. This will be a short kind of history of, okay, what did we have in the HANA ecosystem coming from XS Classic to XSA. And then we try to solve the question if after 10 years of XSA, it's still alive or it's dead. So let's see. So first, a few things about myself. I'm Timo Wagner. I'm a freelance software engineer with the focus of HANA. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And I used to work at SAP. So I used to work deeply in the SDI kind of area. I've worked on the editors in Eclipse all the way to XSA, and then also on the Data Hub and Data Intelligence kind of data integration topics there. And yeah, so this is just a brief introduction of myself so that you know, okay, I've actually went through the whole process. So quickly, how did we get here? So XS Classic, also the official name is SAP HANA Extended Application Services. It's or it used to be a single application runtime. It's built on the Mozilla SpiderMonkey engine, and it's all running on the DB server with a shared active repository, and the repo was mainly used from HANA Studio and XS Classic Web IDE. And it also supported some kind of transports through a lifecycle management application. So this is all the good things that were first promised and that also kind of worked. I already added the dates up there. So it was introduced in 2012 and it was considered active until 2017. But with all of those points here on the slide come also some downsides. So for example, it was running on the DB server, which meant that whenever an activation was somehow faulty, it had the chance to bring down the whole index server with it. And of course, we don't want to have that. Then the shared active repository, if someone messes up and commits something there, and it might actually bring down another application as well. Then the Mozilla SpiderMonkey, it's also a JavaScript engine. It used to be really fast and everything, but the development stopped there. And in the meantime, another project evolved, and that kind of emerged as the Node.js ecosystem. So with the SpiderMonkey engine, it was not really possible to reuse modules from the open source ecosystem, or only really with a lot of pain. So all of those kind of brought SAP to the decision, okay, we want to have something else, but more on that later. So then in 2017, kind of surprising to a lot of customers, the deprecation of XS Classic was announced. So with that, they already committed to updates until the end of life for the HANA 2 SP5, which was now actually a few days ago, so end of June. So everyone that still has XS Classic active on their productive system should really consider moving. For example, with the tool that was introduced in the keynote with the migration kind of wizard with the AI integration to move it all into a CAP application. So what was done? So XSA, the main topic of this talk, right? So officially it's known as SAP HANA Extended Application Services, but this time it got a suffix called Advanced Model. So that's the A in XSA. And it was supposed to be kind of a ramp up mechanism to allow users or customers to come from the on-prem into the Cloud Foundry world. So SAP put a lot of effort into replicating all of the different APIs from Cloud Foundry and put them onto the XSA server or XS controller in that case. So it supports kind of the same stuff like Cloud Foundry. It has build packs, so you can deploy on Node.js or on Java. You can scale out to different nodes, so it doesn't have to run on the application server. Each app and database container is actually self-contained and is separated. So I know that we later on have a talk on HDI, so this is exactly what HDI is bringing to the table here. But with that also comes a new kind of development model. So you had then the possibility to develop all of this in the XSA Web IDE. And now you can do it also in the bus or in the VS Code or any kind of derivative from that. And the actual deployment is then done more or less on the XS CLI, which is also kind of a re-implementation of the CF API. So to allow a really smooth integration later on, so that you kind of have the same work steps on-prem that you would have later on in the cloud. But kind of the problem with it was that it was in 2015, it was introduced. Most of the tools, including ours, the flow graph editor for the SDI, wasn't ready yet. So a lot of the tools really took until 2017 when the deprecation notice came until actually it was kind of feature parity was achieved compared to XS Classic. And then, of course, XS Classic was not really feature complete with comparison to the Eclipse world, so HANA Studio. So that was also a reason why a lot of the customers struggled to implement the XSA on their side. So they stayed on XS Classic, and it was kind of unknown what will happen. So a lot of you moved already to the cloud, and you can just forget about XSA because you will probably never use it, right? But there are still some edge cases where customers cannot go into the cloud, either for kind of legal reasons or just because they don't want to, right? So for those customers, XSA is still around. And I think if you would have asked anyone 5 years ago, they would just say, yeah, at some point it goes away. Or even 10 years ago, nobody would have expected that it's still around and it's not deprecated yet, right? So the one of the things that I've noticed in a few customer projects is that the XSA is actually really well maintained now. So after the first few years, it kind of got stuck and it was really always in this kind of 1.0 until 1.0155 or something like that. So there were really only minor changes to it. So it was mostly updating the node runtimes and fixing smaller bugs, but it was really no big kind of development going on. But after June 2023, that kind of changed. So they introduced the kind of the 1.1, and now it's up to 1.3 kind of versioning to also allow customers to directly see, okay, I actually need to upgrade because some old version is really running out of support. I might be vulnerable if the services are somehow exposed. And yeah, so this is kind of this version gap that they introduced. And then also in the past few releases, they actually fixed a lot of bugs. So during the time until, let's say, 2022, it behaved more or less the same like in 2020, right? So there were some bugs around. You are used to them. You just work around them. It's all fine. But now, suddenly, those bugs are gone. And they fixed them. And they actually documented them in all of those release notes. And they also introduced some new convenience features, like the case insensitivity. Because earlier, some of the XS CLI was, for example, really picky with the space names or the usernames. And those are all now gone. So you can actually use it without having to think about, okay, did I now write the space with some uppercase S or whatever? Those are actually gone. It's better now. And then also some new convenience features, like at one customer, the restart of the whole XSA landscape took around an hour or an hour, 2.5. So it has a lot of applications. And now, at some point, it's now down to a few minutes. And it was not documented, but it happened. So SAP is doing something there. Yeah. So also another thing SAP is doing is this. So last year, I was at the Munich Insight Track, and one of the presenters was showing this here. So it was slightly different there. This is the latest press release. So actually, one of the old services on NetWeaver is getting deprecated. And SAP announced that they will bring this functionality based on XSA until Q1 2027. And then the customers actually have time until 2030 to migrate to it, which means that XSA more or less has at least a lifetime left of more than 5 years, because otherwise they wouldn't do that, right? So that's the big question now. Somehow SAP is doing something with it. In the keynote earlier, we've seen they are migrating stuff now from XS Classic into the cloud or onto CUP. But of course, you could also run those kind of applications on XSA, at least to some degree, right? So at least they thought of you as a customer and are now trying to somehow make it easier for you. So XS Classic is now officially really that. So it's not completely gone, because I also learned yesterday that some of the repo stuff will stick around for a while, but most of the things that you actually have there are gone now. You won't get any support if you use it. So if you have still some XS Classic going on, check out the migration stuff. And hopefully, with my prediction that at least it will be running until 2030, you have now a stable platform to actually build on. Because that was earlier, I think, one of the biggest problems with XSA. Everybody was just thinking, yeah, it's just the next one. XS Classic is still fine. We don't have to move on. Now the support is really gone. You need to do something. If cloud is not an option, yeah, try out XSA. So now I'm a bit early, but thank you for your attention. And any questions, you can also send me emails later or add me on LinkedIn, and I'll be the expert corner upstairs. So yeah, please feel free. Thank you. Any questions? Gregor. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any insight already in what features SAP added? Like, will there be a destination service on XSA?
I don't know.
Okay.
So most of the stuff that I've seen are related to the scale-out scenarios, so that those are a bit better supported. Also for like the HANA active passive setup. So all of those are now a lot better. So somehow they are doing it. They haven't been doing it in the last 5 years. They're doing it now. So something is going on. It could be that I'm migrating some services.
Because that would be helpful, because otherwise you just always define just an environment variable if you want to reach out to other systems.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, what's your like own impression? Do you feel that customers will, with this like revived XSA, take it as a development platform?
I mean, they don't have a chance, right? So either they move now to the cloud or to XSA, or they move completely out of the SAP world. So I think any kind of investment on XS Classic development is gone. And there is still a lot of code on old XS Classic platforms, right? Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to kill the party, but I think I need to say a few words. I'm Jörg Latzer. I'm product manager for SAP HANA, based in Waldorf. A great presentation, thanks a lot. Maybe some words to add. First, XS Classic. It is deprecated, that's true. But what is not true is that it's not supported anymore. It's still supported.
It's what I found online. That's the only method.
Yeah, I don't want to blame you.
No,
it's not my intent. So it is supported. There's a clear support statement that it is supported and will be removed with the next major product version. That's what you exactly stated in the deprecation note, which would be a HANA 3. But we all know there will be no HANA 3 anytime soon. Our investment go into the cloud, and HANA 2 will stay. Will stay for probably until 2040, which is the support commitment SAP gave for 2024. And we gave a support commitment for HANA 2 as long as an SAP application on top is in maintenance, which is currently 2040 as for HANA. Which basically means that as long as HANA 2.0 is in maintenance, XS Classic is in maintenance and is supported. The deprecation node means that we don't invest into it anymore. And you won't find any new backend features exposed in HANA Studio, for example. I don't know, we name it data masking, pretty old stuff. It's only available in the Web IDE. It's not available in HANA Studio. And many other HANA platform features are not exposed in HANA Studio, aka XS Classic. So, but you can still use it. You will get support. You will also get bug fixes for HANA XS Classic. It will not be removed because we have no intent to deliver a HANA 3. And legally, we can only remove XS Classic with a HANA 3 version. This is what is stated with next major product version. In fact, there is applications out like enterprise threat detection, which is a very prominent one, a big one, which is an XS Classic application and is very successful and it's out in the market. We still sell it and it's an XS Classic application. So in that sense, we do have internal stakeholders that force us to at least do bug fixing for XS Classic. Yeah. But of course, no new features are exposed, and that's why we recommend to move over to XS Advanced. There is since like 5 years at least an XS Advanced migration guide available, which allows customers to move from repo-based applications, repo-based calculation views to HDE-based calculation views, which we still recommend for customers using on-premise. The same applies here. XS Advanced will be in support and maintenance until 2040, similar to XS Classic. The main difference is we have Web IDE, we have more sophisticated tools, we have HANA Cockpit, which is an XS Advanced application. In that sense, XS Advanced is an application server. And that's, by the way, why we decided to port the Adobe document server from NetWeaver AS Java, which runs out of maintenance 2027, based on pressure that we got from DSAG to provide an on-premise successor, because and Adobe Forms is mainly a Java application, and we cannot extend due to legal reasons. So we decided to port the Adobe document server from NetWeaver AS Java to XS Advanced. That's one reason why you now find new features in XS Advanced. So the porting of the Adobe document server forces us to provide new features which we need for ADS. And actually now customers using XS Advanced in other scenarios can make use of that. So that's like a nice side effect of the whole porting activities of Adobe. So it is still in maintenance. We continue to invest into XS Advanced because of the Adobe Forms situation. Of course, not in the same intensity and the same number of new innovations like we do for HANA Cloud, where we have SAP Build now instead of Cloud Foundry and all that stuff in BAS, Business Application Studio, now SAP Build. So that's where all the investments go into. But you can, of course, as an on-premise customer, continue to use XS Advanced, build on XS Advanced. It will be in maintenance until 2040. Same like XS Classic, but with more features now. And those are coming because of Adobe.
Yeah. They could have come earlier, but it's better than never.
Better late than never, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I just wanted to add. Sorry, but
no,
that's okay.
It's great for the clarification. Thank you.
All right. Is there questions? Additional questions, which now coming up after my.
Working? Yeah. Okay. I could have one question now that you're here, because could you take us back into behind the scenes, how the development for the HANA on-premise versus the HANA Cloud takes place? Because in my head, you have two development departments, and then at some point somebody does a snapshot, and then that can become a part of the on-premise version, but that's probably not how it is.
It is to a large extent when we're talking about HANA core features, like the hex engine, like NSE partitioning. Those are features that are primarily developed for HANA Cloud and then backported to the on-premise code line. For the tooling side of the house is different because we have a complete different infrastructure in which we are operating when we are operating HANA Cloud compared to HANA on-premise. So XS Advanced as an application server where you have the HANA cockpit running on top, where you have the Web IDE running on top. It's completely independent from what we have in BTP. There is a possibility to use BAS, Business Application Studio, and deploy to an on-premise version of HANA. So in that sense, the HDI container concept is the same. So you can deploy from BTP BAS to a HANA on-premise version, but you cannot use the tooling on-premise locally. There was a question for that.
Thank you. So not really a question, but maybe a challenge for the next year. Hopefully we're
We
gonna
love
have
challenges.
Yeah. So there are at least two websites that I consider very important today, which is the influence.sap.com and the Fiori Apps Library. Both of them are still done in XS Classic. So maybe for the next year, we could have a cap version of it. Not sure if we can show it in the UI5.com or in the recap or in this one.
To what extent XS Classic is still used, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't justify my statement.
Yeah, just a challenge for next year to have a newer version of those tools.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we take it. We take the challenge.
Thank you.
Questions? Otherwise, I would say thanks a lot, and thanks for letting me add to your wonderful presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.